I guess after Breaking the Waves, everybody expected a big epic film from you, and Idiots was something completely different. What brought you from this huge scale CinemaScope pace to something completely different?
Well, first of all, I like to do different things. You know, I've done that quite a lot, to go from to different things, and I don't think the difference is that big. It's true, it's not scope, but it's still handled camera. So, what made me do it? Well, it all started with, of course, these dogma rules that we designed in '95, which was actually before Breaking the Waves was shot. Yeah, since I was one of the writers, I had to do a film also.
A Dogma film then?
Yes.
But I mean, I was surprised that Dogma was in '95,
yeah.
But still Breaking the Waves doesn't always adhere to the rules of Dogma.
No. Breaking the Waves was not a Dogma film.
Oh.
No. But it might have been influenced a little by the rules, but it was not a Dogma film.
Mm-hmm.
No, a Dogma film has a nice little kind of certificate, hence the beginning. There, you can see if it's a Dogma film.
Mm-hmm. So you don't, it's not that you from now on you have to do only Dogma films?
No.
So Dogma films are like a kind of a special kind of genre of films?
Yeah, even though it says in the rules it can't be a genre film. Yeah, it is. You could say that.
Is it?
And it's for everybody to use.
I was wondering how seriously you took these Dogma rules and the whole Dogma thing, or was it a bit of a practical joke as well?
That's not at all. No, we take it very serious. If you make some rules, then it's you can't take it as a joke. Well, if you want to spend a year on a joke, but that is not how I like to live. Mm-hmm. No. It's very serious. It's not serious in the sense that we would like that Dogma to spread all over the world. It's not that, it's not that Third Reich thing, but we take it serious because we believe that these rules enable us to focus differently on the films that we are doing than other films.
And I think it also said in Dogma 35 millimeters, but then you made it was video format.
Yes, and I have an explanation for, which is not very good, because Thomas and I started the whole thing, and then we were 5 people at a certain point, and then we discussed this, and I'm kind of the priest in this. So I said, no, it says 35 Academy, and then they said, no, but that's only the format for the distribution. And I said, no, I don't think so. And then we voted, and then I was voted against. So we could make it also on 16 millimeter, because the argumentation was that you couldn't carry a 35 millimeter, which was nonsense. All of Breaking the Waves was made an enormous movie cam. But then I said, if you can make it on 16 mil, that means you can transfer it. Then you can make it on video also. And that was kind of, and I don't think it's very much Dogma rules, but the good thing that came with it was that that a whole new technique was there, not in the handle, but in the principle of making the scenes extremely long and then cutting them down. Some of the scenes that you see in the film is 1.5 minutes, but is 1 hour when you shoot them. And this is a fantastic technique that I haven't heard about or wasn't possible before video.
And that was the reason why you used video and not 16 millimeter to have greater freedom.
Yeah. Then you got an enormous freedom in that sense, enormous freedom.
But at the same time, the images get a bit blurred when you transfer them and you have them on a big screen and you move the camera.
Yes, that's fine. That's no problem. I have no problem with it. No, I think I'm fascinated by video. I'm the next epic film, as you call it, will be shot on video also.
And how did you go about to direct a film like Idiots? I mean, it has this documentary flavor to it, but of course it's a It's a piece of fiction.
It is fiction, yeah. Well, first of all, I filmed it myself, and that means that as I know what is happening and where the conflicts and the drama lies in the persons, and this is where I will look. So I wasn't filming, I was just looking through the camera, and that's how the style comes about.
It also has something, a feeling of a kind of a group therapy
Yeah,
session.
you can say there's some relations to some therapy forms, yes.
It's like observing, how close did the actors kind of have to stick to certain dialogue, or was there freedom to kind of follow the character?
Well, there was any freedom, but I would say that if you look at the script, it's quite close. It's you know, it's very much it has very much to do with the actors, how they feel about improvising. But I think it has a good feeling of the acting. It's I think they did well. Oh, these little interviews that were cut in between are completely improvised in the sense that they are the characters, and I'm asking questions that they do not know.
Mm-hmm. But for the I mean, did you also want to give the impression that you're never quite sure whether you're watching a fiction film or there might be some real documentary in it?
No, I think it's quite important to know that it's a fiction film, but it's true that there are elements in it that are of a documentary nature, and that the whole film should be that. But that is more to give it credibility, I would say. But it is a fiction film.
And what interested you in this concept of kind of normality and kind of deviant behavior? It's like bringing out, you in the film, this often said, the idiot in you or the idiot in us. Is there an idiot in every one of us?
In me, yes. I can't speak for anybody else. Maybe it's only a film about me. Yes, there's an idiot, and it's not so far in. it's yeah. I'm sure there's one in you.
Is it a kind of a
behind the badge, maybe?
Is it a liberation, or is it kind of I don't know, indulgence, regression?
Well, this film doesn't give an answer like that. It's not a film that's only a commercial for a certain idea, it's a film about a group of people who has this interest, and they have different reasons for going into it, and they have a lot of problems, and so it's not a film that's it's not it's not a commercial for an idea.
Was it sometimes difficult to?
That's good. That's good. They take it more serious, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes. There's no nonsense here.
We'll keep the idiot well locked up inside of us. I wanted to ask, was it sometimes difficult to, while you were shooting and then at the end of the day, to get out of it again, or out of the characters again for the actors?
Yes, one thing that was it was clear to see was that they loved, you know, to spaz about, as we call it. They were crazy. They really loved it. They hated the days where we should do scenes where they didn't do it. It was great fun, and I was so jealous because I had to film it and kind of control the whole thing. So I really had problems with jealousy on that film.
I was sometimes wondering whether you meant it as a serious film, or maybe also kind of bit pulling the leg of the viewers, inviting them to take it seriously and play with their serious expectations.
Yes, but no, I can only say I took it very. I don't think I've done anything in my life that wasn't serious. No, it might look like a joke, but so does life.
And I was wondering, Is there something particularly Danish about this film or your films in general?
Well, I'm not the right person to ask that question. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't. I doubt it. But I can see a lot of ancestors to this film, but they're not Danish. And to the whole dogma idea is, of course, a French New Wave rip-off to some degree.
Mm.
Yes.
And this dogma, I was surprised to see that the dogma was in '95, and now
Yes.
we have '98, and somehow we didn't hear about it before.
No, actually, no. But I had to make Breaking the Waves before I made, and we had some problem financing it actually.
In Breaking the Waves.
No, the Dogma films.
Mm-hmm.
But we are producing 2 Dogma films more with other Danish directors, and we have also quite a few from who wants to make Dogma films in other countries. So let's see.
Do you think
I don't think it would do any harm to have some Dogma films in between.
Do you think you find an audience for them? I mean, they're not easy to.
I'm very sure. I'm very sure. We are right now. We are in 70 copies in France. So
Mm-hmm.
so far it's okay.
You've
That's not bad for a film in Danish, shot for very little money.
You, over the years since Element of Crime, you've become like the great hope, great international hope of Danish cinema. Do you feel sometimes kind of heavy baggage, everyone expecting big things from you?
No. I feel old in that sense, but it has nothing to do with the expectations. No, I just feel that I've been to Cannes so many times, and suddenly yesterday I found out that my Cannes ambition is completely gone.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you used to be very ambitious, weren't you?
Yes, I used to be more competitive. But right now I think that this Dogma thing, which is not a joke, is a little bit like a crusade. And that is why it was worth coming down here. And I think that we have, in that sense, done a very good job, because it's not, people are not going out making Dogma films, but just beginning to discuss again the nature of films and why you do this and why you don't do this is, I think, would be a big thing for film in common. And if this can help just a little bit, well, it's good.
I was wondering, do you still remember what it was that originally brought you into filmmaking? What was the original attraction for you to become a filmmaker?
Fascination of the media, or fascination of, little scenes put together in your head that you can suddenly put up on a screen. It's the same fascination that still drives me, and it's become more serious over the years. And that's why I'm saying I don't spend my time doing jokes. I would never do that, because I'm a very fearful man. I sometimes live a life that is very hard and a lot of anxiety and pain. I'm not going to bore you with these details, but to make film is what I do, is what I live for. It's a very banal thing to say, and pretentious, but somehow it's true.
Could you? What would you be, or what would you imagine yourself being if you were not a filmmaker?
Dead.
Dead.
Yes. Quite dead. I might be quite dead as a filmmaker also.
But sometimes certain circumstances could have kind of kept you away from film school.
Oh
and
yes,
from
yes, that's true. But since I was 12, I've been very fascinated about films. No, I'm not saying of course I could have chosen or been whatever, the man who takes the garbage away. I don't know, anything. But today, if I was thinking about myself not making films, I'm quite dead. Yes.
And
you could call it escapism or whatever. But still, when I do the films, I work with inner material, so it's not completely escapism.
But that's what I thought about the Danish thing. This idea, also connected with Ingmar Bergman, Scandinavian films deal with inner turmoil and kind of tortured souls trying to express themselves.
Yeah, but I would say that this film, The Idiots, is a bit more cheerful than most Bergman films. So Bergman actually did, I think, 7 comedies. And one of them was really good and the rest was crap. He did the Smile of the Summer Night, or whatever it's called in English, which was a beautiful film, but the rest of them was terrible. I'm sure you haven't seen them.
But with Bergman, you first think of the tragic
yes, you do.
anxiety films.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned your personal anxiety, I thought maybe this is the Scandinavian bit in you. Although, I mean, you make jokes about the Swedish in Kingdom.
Yes, that's what we do in Denmark, you know, make jokes about the Swedish all the time.
Why don't the Danish and the Swedes don't get along so well?
They get along well. They get along well. I just had Stellan Skarsgård, who's a Swedish actor from Breaking the Waves, for lunch yesterday. No, they get along well, but it's like neighbors, you know, they have to make jokes about each other. No, they get along. When
you mentioned Dogma before, I was wondering, Dogma, these rules like you should place use no props and place the film in the here and now. And when I think of your films like Element of Crime or Europa, they're very much into kind of irreal sceneries. So are there kind of two souls in you, the Dogma soul and the other soul who goes into these fantasies? No, since I am quite responsible for the Dogma rules, you can say that they're designed very much for me. You could say that if I was kind of a man who juggles, you know, in a circus, then at a certain point after you've juggled for some years, then you think it might be interesting to be on a tightrope at the same time. That's kind of making it more difficult. And that is actually what the rules is about also. So it's making it more difficult, putting some limitations on you, which a tightrope must be, and at that point giving yourself some freedom. Because of that, giving yourself some freedom, because you concentrate elsewhere. And does it become more intensive to work with the actors under these rules?
Oh, these rules are very much designed also for actors. They love them, of course. There's no breaks. There's no lights where they have to, you know, hit the mark. All these things. No, it's wonderful for actors.
Sometimes it has a kind of a workshop quality to it. Like actors can go to very extreme emotions, like in Idiots, which they sometimes do in a workshop and are less allowed in a real theater play or in a film. Is it like giving actors more freedom and hoping to get more out of them at the same time?
No, it's getting more out of them. It's getting more out of them, yes.
Not only hoping.
No.
In Breaking the Waves, you had such great, wonderful music, and now you've toned the music really down. Isn't that a bit of a pity also to have no music in a film? I mean, there's little music.
We have little music, which I'm not satisfied about. No, well, the interesting thing about Breaking the Waves is that there's no underscoring in Breaking the Waves whatsoever. Never. There's only these chapter signs with music in between, but there's no underscoring. So in that sense, they're quite alike.
This and the music here. I mean, is it allowed on the Dogma rules to have this?
Yeah, it's just we recorded the music at the same time as we shot the image, like they did in the very first Tone films. and it was very difficult to do the credits because we had to be able to cut it so it fitted the music. So,
And why should the director not be credited in the dogma rules?
well, it was the last rule that came on. I suddenly had the idea because I found out that this might be the most provoking thing you could suggest at all, and because it might give, anyway, the intention of some modesty towards the media, which I think was useful.
Yeah, but you think it will work? I mean, there still is a director.
Yes.
And should he become kind of out of sight, or?
Well, that's very difficult. Also, since there are only made two dogma films, but if there's a lot, maybe we could be completely invisible. But well, it's there's a lot of in the churches. There's a lot of paintings that are beautiful paintings, and they are not signed. Humility can be a good thing.
What do you understand by the chastity idea? I mean, it sounds, you mentioned church, that's why
Yeah,
I came.
it sounds religious, yes.
It sounds very religious. Sounds like joining a religious order and becoming a monk.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit like that's yes, that's a good association, yes.
And but does a film director? I mean, this sounds also very ascetic.
Yes. Yes.
So, but you think that should be for the dogma films? That the film director is an ascetic then, and
Well, that's part of the idea, yes.
but you would allow yourself the freedom to make non-dogma films.
Oh yes, yes. I would like to do other dogma films, but not the next one. I think is not going to be a dogma.
And the calling it dogma is also a very religious term.
It is, yes. It is, yes. But it could still, as you said, sound like a joke, the whole thing. But then it's a joke with some meaning in it, I think. I think that 99% of the films that are produced in the world today is pure nonsense, because it's films that nobody wants to direct. It's films that are made only for the market and for the money in it, and that is not what dogma is. So I think there's really very good reason to do, maybe not the dogma initiative, but things like that. There's any reason to do that, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
So using these religious associations, you see the filmmaking as a kind of almost religious experience.
Well, it would be great if it was, yes.
Like search for the truth and...
Yeah, let's use the big terms, that's good. We can't fulfill them, but let's use them.
I was wondering, you've become very reclusive lately. I mean,
reclusive. That word I don't know.
Or kind of, you didn't go to the press conference yesterday.
Like that, yes.
Like kind of drawing out of the public.
Yes, I would like that. Yes, I would like that.
Is that you uncomfortable with it, or?
Yes, I'm very uncomfortable with it. Yes.
But in former years, you were like Europa, I remember, and you were like in the festival more.
Yes. I'm getting.
What happened in between?
I got older.
So do we all. Yeah?
Yes. But when you get older, then you, with a little luck, you get more certain of how you want to live your life. And the reason why I didn't come the last time to Cannes was I had any intention to do it, but it wasn't possible for me in that situation. And this time I'm here, but mainly to for the benefit of the dogma thing. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Sometimes the talking to colleagues, I heard that the suspicion arises it's a kind of self-stylization, like the Aramid on the mountain, Simon on the pillar.
Yes, so what?
So, who's kind of out in the desert.
So what? Yes, but it's very strange because people tend to be quite provoked by this, and it's not provocative in any way, because either you like the dogma films, you think they have something in them that can be used, then it's good, or you don't like them, then they're no threat. So I can't see that there's any provocation in it whatsoever.
But sometimes you never know. I'm not sure when you said about the dogma that this is kind of an undercurrent of provocation, also get people's mind into motion, even if they're upset about it.
In that sense, yes. No, but when I was talking about provocation, that means that it should be a threat for their way of filming, and which it isn't. It could only be a threat if there's something in it that works, like, for instance, the new French wave, which kind of was a wave that had a big influence in France and a little less, but still big in Europe, but still had influence all over the world. That was a threat, but it was also a creative boost. But I see no reason to fear it. I have no expectation whatsoever that something like this would happen. But this is just kind of throwing a stone in the water and stirring up a little bit. That is it's good for everybody. But it's just that I've met this aggression from some colleagues of mine.
In Denmark.
Oh yes, also in Denmark. And I was in France in '95, we were at a conference where I handed out this document, and my colleagues said to me, "Why do you hate film so much?" So it's,
What did you say then?
What can I say? If you read it like that, then you have not understood very much, I would say.
So I would ask you, why do you love film so much?
Yes, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Why do you love film so much that you want to go into a monastery? Yes, this is an impossible question to answer.
Does it help you live your life?
It's a fulfillment of some longings. Yes, that's the closest I can get. It's maybe abstract, and there will still be longings for different things. So I'll go on. I have to drag me out of that.
And when you have a film finished, are you satisfied with it, or you still think, oh, they could have been better? Or
No. I'm completely content. When it's finished, it's finished. No, and there's nothing that could be better. That is my most important, or maybe only, quality as a director, is that I'm never in doubt of the qualities of what I'm doing. Never. And there might be a significant lack of qualities, I agree, but when I do it, I'm never in doubt.
When you do something new, where you take your inspiration from?
Well, it's I have this feeling of where I ought to go. Might be morality. Who knows?
And the stories, is it something you observe, you hear, or how does kind of the story of a film come together in your head?
Well, most of my other films has been constructed because I needed special. I wanted this and this effect, or this and this dramatical effect, or whatever. But the Idiots was different. It was written in 4 days. The script. It was. My other scripts takes 2 years, so it was different.
Because the other films sometimes, like Europa or Element of Crime, have this nightmare dream quality where
Yes.
you never know where you are, what is the level of reality you're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Can you kind of work your own dreams into it?
I don't think I've tried that. No. But I can't deny that it's all something that takes place in my head, so it must come from somewhere in there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a small question. We have this guest book, and
Yes.
I was wondering if you could be so kind to
Yes.
give us some.
I should translate this
Yeah,
into
this-
Danish.
Yeah, that's a good. We'll do that. That will take us the rest of the day.
I love the interview because of clever questions.
That's
It
always
doesn't-
very flattering. That was Balabanov. I love the film, so it's
Okay. All right, here.
no, you can write whatever you. There's no censorship involved. No
Okay.
rules, no dogma rules for the guest book.
Okay. Like this.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you. We have a Japanese TV now.
we have?
Yes.
Great.
And while they're just moving their camera over,
Okay.
the Italians want to do a quick photograph.
That's okay. That's always finished at 1, we don't.
Well, we started very late this
Oh,
morning.
we started very, very late, yes.
Okay, it's okay.
It's mostly that you get tired of hearing yourself.
Or you can say different things at each interview. People will be
That is
surprised.
very, very, very difficult.
Then they,
As you know, after 10 interviews, you repeat yourself.
yeah, but then they really get surprised. One newspaper writes this and the other that, and they really they don't know what to think anymore. Then.
Would you like some water?
Yes, a little bit.
Excuse me.
So I this photograph and then the Japanese.
Yes, he's ready.
Yes, and that's it for today.
You have the MTV one you wanted to do as well. And that's it. That's
Yes.
the day is yours.
As you wanted to do, yes. As you yourself chose to.
Okay, so if you'd like to set up, could you come in and choose a...
Hello. Yes.
Very glad to see you.
Yes. So am I to see you.
I think maybe just there.